Villarreal 0, Real Madrid 2 then is how it finishes, and what that means is that despite everything, all the saga around Vinicius Jr., the whistles, Jude Bellingham, Xavi Alonso, Arbeloa coming in, Real Madrid are top of the table. For more on this, welcome in. Luis Garcia is with us. Luis, in the end, it was a bit of a Xavi Alonso win, wasn't it, really? Nothing much has changed from the side that went on that run before the Spanish Cup final.
Yes, I don't see many changes. What I see is a different attitude. We saw a better Real Madrid in the second half, more intense, even going forward, committing players forward. We saw Vini Jr. chasing the keeper, chasing the fullback. We saw Kylian Mbappe following behind the rest of the team. And when a team with this talent match the intensity of the opponent, in the end, what it must happen is that they get with the 3 points today without showing much, and against a team that, it can control, but that doesn't punch back from the top of the last third, because that's what Villarreal did today. Yes, was trying to, but you could see that in the last third inside the box there was no composure. So Courtois was quite having an easy game today. So I like what I saw, but much more that fantastic football, a team that is working together, a team that is trying to find a solution to the situation they are in. And tonight, without doing much, as I said, 2 goals and 3 points, and of course, the top of the table. So, well, Alberon started very well the league at this stage.
Yeah, 6.5 out of 10 performance, but gets a result. Is that fair?
Yeah, and Luis mentioned attitude. I would say not only attitude, aptitude and application from Real Madrid. And then that's it. Then you run out of stuff. Because if you start talking about Arbeloa's plan on the field, then you're making stuff up. There is no real plan here. There is a group of players that has been put out there by Arbeloa and have been told, go on, guys. You guys are really good. Go do your thing, and we'll see what we get out of this. He has managed to sort of ease his way into the position by doing one very basic thing, and that is loving the players, kissing up to the players, relating to the players. You're not the problem. You are the solution. You are going to get us out of whatever situation we're in because of how talented you are. And in doing that, he has bought himself some sort of, trust or confidence, if you can call it that, because I think we're too short into this period to be saying that the players fully trust Álvaro Arbeloa. But he has gained that trust, that initial trust that the players say, well, at least we're going to enjoy ourselves more than we did with the other guy. And if we want to enjoy ourselves, we got to win games, and we got to play at a high level, and we're going to go chase a goalkeeper, and we're going to go press together. So for now, all of this seems very beautiful. For now, all of this seems like it's working out and moving forward and generating momentum. My concern is that unless you have what I think would be a structure to the team, organization, a game plan, how is it that we're going to approach a game? All of this seems like a house of cards. All of this seems like it all changes once they lose a game, and then we go back to square one. Real Madrid, if they're going to achieve the things that they think they're capable of achieving this season, they have to know what a reset position is, what square one is for them. What is it that they have to do really well as a group, as a unit, consistently in order to win games. Today, the hard work and the aptitude and the attitude was enough. Other times it may not be the case, because guess what? Today they were interested. Against Monaco they were interested. But 3 weeks from now, when all of this has passed, are they going to be interested? That's a question that this team is yet to answer. 2
more goals, though, for Kylian Mbappe. It's incredible, his strike rate, especially considering all the problems that Real Madrid have had on and off the pitch. 20-goal La Liga season now already for Kylian Mbappe. Take a look who's along that. Ronaldo, Paino, Cristiano Ronaldo, Ferenc Puskás. Great names of Real Madrid from that era. Overall, Stevie, he is one of the best in the world. It's quite simple, isn't it? It's not an argument.
No, not at all. I mean, if you're picking a centre forward for a game tomorrow, he's your man.
Right.
Is there anybody else in Europe or on the planet that is as good as him right now? And the answer is no. And, you know, it's not a surprise, is it? We know how good he is. We've seen him, whether he was at Monaco or PSG and now with Real Madrid. We know exactly he's talented. Unfortunately for him, he's playing in a team now that isn't getting it done the way he is. And they're all lagging behind. And that, in the end, is going to cost him. Because when it comes to the Champions League that he wants, that seems right now to be quite some distance away.
Luis, we'll say thank you very much to you, mate. Just a reminder, Luis's former team in action tomorrow as the Barcelona are looking to retake top spot in La Liga. It should be, in theory, easy as they're taking on bottom of the table Real Oviedo. That game live, 10:15 Eastern. Ali Moreno on the call. Be sure to wake up for that one. Liverpool as they lose by 3 goals to 2. It's interesting when you take a look at the stoppage time goals they've conceded this season, Steve. So many of them: Bournemouth, Fulham, Leeds, Chelsea, Crystal Palace, all resulting, of course, in draws or indeed defeats. Here's Arne Slot.
I think it's safe to say that a few players of ours ran out of energy. And I cannot even criticize them for that, because 2 days ago we had to play an away game in Europe. We're the only team that played Champions League that has 2 days in between this time. After an away game, another away game against one of the most intense teams in the league. And I mainly, as you probably see, play the same players because of the players we have available. So then, what should not have happened is that you have to win it in the end, because that's then more difficult. And that's what you saw in the last 10 minutes. I think for the rest of the game, it was completely different. I think there we dominated the game.
You take a look at what has happened so far in 2026. Well, they were undefeated up to now, of course, but yet to register a single victory. Julien Laurent is with us, but Stevie, I want to start with you. Go on then.
God, where do you start? I mean, I guess you've got to start with the back line. You know, I mean, they ended up with only Van Dijk left of the starting back four. I don't think I've ever seen Van Dijk have a worse game in a Liverpool jersey. As I said in the highlights, he was involved in all 3 of the goals. And the only thing that Slot said that I agreed with is, yes, because of the injuries, it's the same players that are having to start. Mm-hmm. But you know what? There's a lot of other teams doing that. And at the end of the day, regardless of how many games you play, if you're composed and you know your job and you trust your teammates, when the ball's coming in the box, you deal with it. Anybody playing against Liverpool, all they need to do is put the ball in the box, because it's chaos, because nobody's in charge. The goalkeeper's not in charge, Van Dijk's not in charge, nobody trusts each other, everybody's wondering where to be. I mean, it's just chaos. And so you end up losing a goal like they did at the end because nobody takes charge. At the same time, you've got to look at the forward line. Mo Salah was awful today. Gakpo did nothing. And Florian Wirtz must have passed the ball more to a Bournemouth player today than he did a Liverpool player. Now, when you've got so much of the ball, and you've got to look at the midfield of Liverpool and say they gave the front 3 as much of the ball as they possibly could have wished for.
Right.
And they did absolutely nothing with it. There was not one opportunity in this game that Liverpool created in open play where you're saying they should have scored. He should at least hit the target. Something. There was nothing. The 2 goals come from set pieces. Szoboszlai is a free kick, Van Dijk's a corner. So the only positive you can say is the middle of the park absolutely gave the front players plenty of ball and they didn't do the job. And that's the bottom line. Whether they're tired or not, you're on the field, you're Liverpool.
Question. Is his excuse valid that they played on Wednesday and Saturday?
His excuse doesn't excuse the mistakes that particularly Van Dijk made today. Right. If you're going to be called a world-class centre-back, you can't make those types of mistakes, whether you're tired or not. And if you are tired, then what you do is you do the basics well. You don't do anything fancy. You try and cut your running down to save your energy. You use your brain. Because the guy's clearly got one. We've seen it over the last 7 or 8 years. But today, he was awful. It was his worst game for Liverpool, no question.
Where are we on Arne Slot's future?
next season. Listen, he won the league last year, so you got to give him some time to figure things out. He's had a horrible injury list, yes. Now, what Liverpool are putting on the field on paper is should still be way better than what they're producing.
And that's got to be the concern, isn't it? Like
100%.
There's no shoots. There's no, oh yeah, that's good. We just got to grow on that. And I think that would be my concern, looking at what Arne Slot has done or not done to make this team better.
The only thing that's getting better is the possession of the ball. But at the same time, you have to turn that possession into chances and goals. And at the same time, if your defence is throwing goals away, then you're kind of losing the point. So that's the only thing that's getting better. The middle of the park are controlling the ball and controlling the game more. But what's going on behind them and what's going on in front of them is not getting any better at all.
Jules, where are we on Slot's future?
I think Stevie's right. He's got until the end of the season easily. I know now that Xabi Alonso is free, there's a lot of those theories about, well, you know, if they want to get rid of Slot, they've got the replacement already here. Xabi Alonso could have come to Liverpool before Arne Slot. He decided not to. We know the story anyway. So this is a fact. This is true. But the club will give him the time. They believe in him. On today, on the excuse of the Champions League game on Wednesday night, I was there. It was a very easy win, comfortable win for Liverpool. I don't buy the tiredness, because the second half this afternoon or this evening was the best, really. And okay, maybe in the last 10 minutes they got maybe a bit tired, but in that case, you're good enough to control the last 10 minutes and not making a basketball game like it was, because they went for the goal, they went for the winner, and maybe that was the right thing to do. But then if you do, you know that you could get exposed in transition, because before that long throw in the goal and the mistake from Van Dijk again, and by the way, it's Curtis Jones blocking him, nobody else. Before that, Alex Scott has a shot on the edge of the box on his own. Christie has a shot on the edge of the box on his own. Evan Nilsson has the chance that we just saw. All three of them in transition, because Liverpool were on the other side of the pitch trying to score. That's not because they were tired, it's because they were pushing to score the first goal. Never today they were outplayed by Bournemouth. They gifted them 3 goals. There's nothing that Bournemouth did that outplayed Liverpool today. So I don't buy the tiredness. It was just mistakes again, and like Stevie said, with the ball, not enough. We said it the other day after the Marseille game. Mo Salah right now doesn't have a place in this team. He's just not good enough to warrant a place from the start, I think, in this team for me.
Wow. I think this time last year we think, oh, it's so important that Liverpool sign Salah and Van Dijk. We've got to make sure that it continues this success, and both players have had a stinker.
Yeah, and let me just focus on Van Dijk, because I think we've discussed Mohamed Salah. The only reason we haven't been discussing Mohamed Salah is because he went to the African Cup of Nations. But he's come back and he's having the same issues that he had before he went to the African Cup of Nations. In terms of Van Dijk, so you can make mistakes, right? These things are going to happen. I don't care who you are and what level of player you have been over the course of your career. Mistakes are going to happen. But what bothers me, and I'm not even a Liverpool fan, what bothers me is that in that first goal, he misplays the ball, and it's the lack of attitude to, okay.
So he said it was the wind. That's what he said afterwards. That's what put him
right,
off.
But what does the wind have to do with him not actually going and closing the ball down?
His reaction, yeah.
And that's where I have a problem. Again, you can miskick a ball because you misread the wind, misread the flight of the ball. Okay. But then go and close the ball down. Instead, he's just like very sort of like slow. I don't really have to get there. I'm thinking, if you are the leader of this team, a guy who has physically demonstrated his dislike and disapproval of other players on the field when they make mistakes, say, for example, Kirkis, then you have to be the first one that has to go and close down the ball. You have to be clean yourself before you're complaining about everybody else. And so that is the part in which I have a disconnect with Virgil van Dijk. You're going to make mistakes, but react to the mistake. And it was very sort of, there's nothing to see here. It's all right, I can miskick a ball, it happens. No, then make up for it. Go and close the ball down. Force a mistake from the other player. He didn't do that, it's 1-0. And it's just, it's happening. I think it's happening regularly right now for Virgil van Dijk and this back line, but specifically for him, in which things are just happening around him, and he's like, yeah, you know what, I'm too good for it. That's the sense that I get, and that's not the attitude that you want to get from a leader in a team.
That's got to be on Slot, though, isn't it, to address that, Stevie?
Well, he doesn't have it. Listen, there's no question that he'll be speaking with Van Dijk, but the best way to address a player who's out of form is having competition and sitting them down.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate that kicks everybody up the backside. When you don't perform, you don't play in the team, somebody else comes in. He doesn't have that choice.
Jules, will they get a centre-back in January?
Definitely. I mean, it was the plan at the start of the window, and now we are, January 24th. There's only a week to go, a bit more than a week to go. And there's no centre-backs have arrived. Or maybe, if you're not fixated on a centre-back, maybe a defender that can play a bit everywhere, like a Joe Gomez, but better. And we haven't seen anybody coming yet. So that's a bit of a worry, because the later you leave it, the harder surely it's going to get someone under your conditions. So Gehi, there's no need to go back on that. He signed for City. I think that train was there for them in the summer. They let it go. It's okay. But surely there are enough centre-backs or defenders when you're a Liverpool Football Club that you can go and get in January. And I'm not talking about getting the best in the world, because that's never going to happen in January. But at least getting somebody that can help your back line to make it a bit more steady, to be just a backup when Konate will be back. And we send the condolences to all the Konate family, obviously, in a very tough week for them. But when he's back, somebody would be happy to be on the bench, happy to help, that can play in different positions, or that would just help the squad, because right now it's Endo playing at the back. And I don't think he did nothing too wrong or nothing too right today either. He's just there. He's just a body, right? And that's not good enough, really, going forward.
Wolves 0 then is how it finishes. Taking a look at what that means in the league table. Of course, Arsenal in action tomorrow against Manchester United. So as it stands, 4 points separate the top two. Did you watch this one, Stevie?
I did, yes.
All right. Why did it take you so long to answer that?
Well, because I figured there's not an awful lot to say. I mean, the game was done. As soon as Mamouche scores, the game's over. Mm-hmm. So they rested Foden. So there's not much to say about this. I mean, Wolves were never going to score in a million years.
At what stage did you take the dog for a walk during this game?
What?
Jules, yes, 2-0. Yes, a needed victory. But nothing much else really to get you excited, bar Semenyo, as Stevie said, who settled in so well.
Yeah, I don't think that was that convincing, and I guess the most important was to win, whatever the way, I guess. But this is a game that they usually would win 4-5 easily, especially when they scored so early. So the game plan for Wolves, which we all knew, the low block and sit back and just don't give any space. After 5 minutes, that was gone. And yet after that, there was not much from City apart from just keeping the ball, but it was very static. There was not much happening apart from Shecky trying now and again. Bernardo Silva, as we saw in the Semenyo goal, and what a first touch, by the way. I know the finish with the other foot is good, but for me, the first touch makes all the difference, obviously. But again, and then in the second half, nothing. When Haaland came on, nothing. And I don't know, the expected goals is less than 1, and they had 11 or 12 shots. That's not much, really, when you think about Pep Guardiola's side. So it shows good to win, but there's clearly still a lot of issues to sort out.
The reason that a guy like Semenyo stands out currently at Manchester City is because what you notice from him that is not noticeable from others is change of pace. It's a guy that in a tight area or even over distance, there is a first touch that gets away from the defender, and we're seeing something different. We're seeing a guy who can create some separation, and it stands out because everybody else is just like from point A to point B to point C. Even when Doku comes on the field, he pushes the tempo and then eventually comes back to his right foot and plays the ball backwards. And so, again, it stands out because obviously he's individually a very talented player, but it wasn't just the goal. There was a sequence in the second half in which he hits it off the crossbar, which very similar to his goal where, again, he cuts to the inside, there's a change of pace, people can't stay with him, and he hits it off the crossbar. Now, he's the only one doing this. The rest of the team is just either not capable or not willing. And to the point about this game being over, while I agree that it was over after Manchester City scored early, I would also say that I never got the sense that Wolves were afraid of playing Manchester City. At Manchester City, they just don't have the talent. They just don't have the players. But there were moments in which they were playing through Manchester City and you go, this is too easy. It's too easy. A team like Wolves, in their condition, in their situation, should not be doing this. They just don't have anything in the attack.
Anything to read about Haaland on the bench, Stevie?
No, just giving him a break.
Just resting him?
Just giving him a break. Just to Ali's point there, Semenyo, is playing with a freshness and an enjoyment that everybody else isn't.
Yeah, it's true.
They all look as though they're running around with fog in their head and just try to make sure they don't lose it or they don't give it away or don't do it. It's almost like don't do that, don't do this. Instead of Semenyo's about, get to me, I'm going to go past somebody or I'm going to score or I'm going to make something. The rest of them need to get the fog out of their brain.
Burnley 2, Spurs 2. This is what Thomas Frank had to say after the match. It's extremely frustrating that we are standing here doing a lot of things right. Not perfect, but a lot of things right. More than enough to get a lot more points than we've got. Just a reminder how things look for Spurs so far in January, and it's not pretty reading for Tottenham Hotspur fans, I promise you that. You can see just the 3 points, yet to register a single win. And you look at it, Burnley, West Ham, Bournemouth, Sunderland, Brentford, teams you would expecting Spurs, of course, to do a lot better against, yet this is where Spurs are. Where's Thomas Frank, and when's he exiting this club, Jules?
I don't know. I mean, I think the most difficult for me is that between what he says and what we see, it doesn't add up to me. He keeps saying every week, after every game, oh, we're doing so many great things. And I'm watching the game and I'm like, really? Because today, I don't think they defended that well. I don't think they attacked that well. I don't think the midfield were that strong. And they were seconds away from losing away at Burnley, who haven't won a game since November or October, who are one of the worst teams in the league by far. And they were 30 seconds away from losing that game.
Stevie,
and I'm just like, okay, against Dortmund in the Champions League, it was a bit better, but they played with 11 men against 10 for an hour. And yet, they won 2-0. Okay, it could have been a bit more, maybe. But apart from that, from the league form that we saw, his new back three, this is his new idea. I'm not sure this works better than what they had before, by the way. And they conceded 2 goals again today against a team that is really bad. I don't know. I don't see what he sees, but maybe I'm the one in the wrong here.
If there was one game where you can't have a go at the manager, it's this game.
Oh.
It should have been 3 or 4-0 at half time. The Bravka has had the game of his life. He's probably made 3 world-class saves, another 4 great saves, and 3 or 4 other decent saves.
That's a lot.
I mean, seriously.
You sure about this stats?
I mean, the guy was standing on his head. So, I mean, you can't look at this game and criticise the manager.
Okay.
You can't. The fact that they never won this game is just nonsense. I mean, I said it during the highlight. That was the first time Burnley had got near the goal right before half time. It had been Spurs battering them. So this would not be the game to judge the manager on.
Okay.
However, they didn't win the game, and that doesn't help.
Okay. But we're keeping Thomas Frank in the Steve Knuckle world?
But listen, you can only talk about what you saw. And in this game,
Right.
Spurs absolutely should have battered Burnley.
Okay.
Right.
Let's just take a look at the rest of the
Okay.
results, shall we, from the Premier League
Go
this
on,
weekend.
Stevie.
Good result for West Ham early on, of course, looking to survive. That's 2 on the bounce now as they beat Sunderland at 3-1. Fulham coming from behind to beat Brighton at 2-1 as well. What's that mean at the bottom? Obviously, Wolves are gone. Burnley, despite that point, are in big trouble. West Ham, though, have closed that gap. Remember, I think it was 7 points when we were talking just last week. It's now down to 2 points. Forest, Leeds. Are they the 2 that are sweating the most? Are the rest okay, Stevie?
Do you know what? Crystal Palace need to be very careful.
Yes.
They need to be very. I think from Crystal Palace down,
Okay.
you got to be on your toes. I think everybody else after that is okay.
Right.
But yeah, Palace down, and particularly Palace, they're worrying the form they're in.
Meanwhile, Arsenal against Manchester United tomorrow. Myself and Jules are going for a win. Everybody else going for an Arsenal victory. This is how it finished then, 2-1 to the visitors. Let's get some post-match reaction from Munich.
This, I'd imagine, is the kind of day that you dream about as a coach. How is it in reality?
Yeah, it was the headline of the meeting before the game, and the headline was, "We want to create a day to remember, where we meet in 5-6 years, and when we meet, that you have some situations like this where the players and me say, do you remember the 24th of January 2026? something happened there, and I think we created a day to remember.
A first Bundesliga defeat of the season. It's obviously going to hit everyone hard, I guess, on an emotional level. How did you see the game?
Yeah, I mean, it's hitting everyone on emotional. Let's not be over dramatic. I mean, it's football, it's life. We lost the game, and I think too often it's thought that the Bundesliga it's easy. It's not. And in a moment like this, it shows that every other point you got before, you had to fight for it, and it was an achievement. So for now, I think we have to congratulate Augsburg. I think they did a really good game there. I think the first half was quite stable from our side. It wasn't. It was the type of performance in the first half that could give you a win, and then you go home and you move on to the next game. But in the second half, we just weren't able to produce the same energy, and they became more dangerous, and therefore, won the game. And we have to congratulate them.
How the heck did this happen, Ali?
Well, I must say, if you watch the first half of Bayern Munich today against Augsburg, and towards the latter part of that first half, you were beginning to see that I believe Bayern Munich got bored. They got disinterested. It was all too easy to begin with, and it almost felt like they took it for granted, and again, they went on autopilot, and this is how we're going to win the game, and we're usually really good in second half, so we're going to explode, we'll score a couple of goals, they'll finish 3-0, we move on with our lives. This team is not good enough to really trouble us. Now, it's one thing that we may think that from the outside, but it's a completely different thing that this team actually, if you watch the second half, it felt like they truly believed that they were too good for Augsburg and they didn't have to show up, and they took it for granted and they were disinterested, and it was an indifferent performance in the second half. Now, as a manager, part of your job is to read that these things are about to happen. It's to smell that these things are potentially going to happen. And as I said, towards the end of the first half, you could see the interest of Bayern Munich disappearing from this game. They go into halftime, you're thinking, well, if you're Vincent Kompany, you go in there and say, hey, listen, we play to a certain standard and we evaluate ourselves and hold ourselves to our own standard, regardless of who's in front of us. We are not meeting that standard right now. Second half, we have to be better in this, and that. I don't know whether that was the message or not, but the second half came around and somebody unplugged this team. He talked about how there was no energy. Well, but why? Why is the reason that there is no energy, and can you not address it as a manager? Is this not something that can be addressed even going into the match? There's been signs of this coming for Bayern Munich, and it goes back to an initial point that we've talked about this team. They are in a class of their own in Bundesliga, and so they are the only team that can beat themselves. And that second half today was proof positive of what can happen when you're not actually engaged in the game. They were not engaged. It was a careless performance in the second half.
Yeah, no invincible season then, Jules.
No, not for them. I mean, it shows as well what Xabi Alonso and Bayer Leverkusen did 2 seasons ago was pretty special, right? Because even this team can't do it. But I completely agree with Ali. I thought exactly the same watching that game. I thought they took it for granted. They stopped playing. But Kompany said it in the interview with Archie just now. He said, this is the kind of game where, talking about the first half, with the first half you score and then you go home with a win and then you move on to the next game. Well, that's not good enough. And clearly tonight was not good enough, or this afternoon was not good enough. Again, his substitutions didn't work in that second half. They never really managed to get that energy back again, and they conceded a goal on set piece, which is what they are vulnerable at. Do you remember the game they drew at Union Berlin, for example, where it was a different game because they were away and they were more under pressure. But the 2 goals they conceded that day, 2 goals on set pieces, and that's something that they are vulnerable on. But I think he spoke straight after the game. I think tonight at home, rewatching the game, he'd be fuming because this is a game they should never lose.
Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. Julien Laurent is here, as is Ali and Stevie. We had a lot today going on. It was my fault because I said there was a problem with the papers, so they just printed them all again. So there we are.
But did they print it right?
That's not the point.
Oh, so the answer is no.
Is Stevie #slot out?
No.
No. So whatever happens between now and the end of the season, you keep him in the job.
Yes. Yeah, pretty simple.
Yeah, lose every game, doesn't matter.
Well, I think the fact he won the listen, had he not won the Premier League last year, had they finished 4th or something,
Right.
then you might have got a different answer.
Okay.
But the fact is, he did win the Premier League.
So what's the difference now?
Well, he's had a lot of injuries.
But that team on the field today should be good enough to beat Bournemouth, who have had a rot.
Well, I was going to follow up with, he's had a lot of injuries, but he's also had a lot of players. Listen, the coach can do a lot of things, right? But what he can't do is when you've got your best players having a shocker, making the most simple mistakes. You've got Van Dijk making the most basic error that a 12-year-old you would expect to make. And you've got your goal scorer who right now doesn't look as though he knows where the goal is. In fact, he doesn't know where his teammates are because he never seems to be able to find them either. So the coach isn't responsible for that. Yes, he can do certain things, but come on. And then you go and spend 150 million on somebody and he can't play for the rest of the season. You spend another 100 on another player who doesn't look as though he's in tune yet with the pace of the game.
So it's all the players' fault?
Well, no, I'm just giving you reasons why you shouldn't get rid of Slot because it's a lot of it is on the players. The majority has to be on the coach because ultimately he carries the can.
So if the majority has to be on the coach.
Well, if it's 60-40 in the coach, then
right.
Then
so
40%,
he takes the
40% is the players.
Yeah, but still the
60% on the coach.
60%.
So, but that's not enough.
So he could lose every game until the end of the season, and you would still have him as your coach.
Well, that's a stupid question.
Right.
Which isn't a surprise come for you.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. What? Well, you're looking for an answer for that stupid question?
No, is there not an argument to say if this?
It sounds like you want him out. I've already told you no. What do you want? Where do you want?
Is there an argument to say that if things continue in this way, you get knocked out of the Champions League?
You tell me, Dan.
No, I'm just asking. I don't know why you're getting. You always get prickly when I bring this up. I've
already answered your question. No.
Yeah, but you said, and then I said, what if they lose every game? You call me an idiot, and then I'm just trying to find middle ground here. So you get knocked out of the Champions League.
We call you stupid, not idiot.
Is there not an argument to say to bring in Xavi Alonso a little bit towards the end of the season, so you can have a look, know what you've got, and then move on in the summer?
What time's that clock?
Right, okay, that's fine.
We do know that Dan is certainly.
Dan wants him out.
Hashtag slow down.
No, not at all. I'm absolutely not. I don't have a horse in this race. I'm just.
No.
It always amazes me how prickly you get on this subject.
Don't bite, don't do it.
The reason I get prickly, I'll be honest with you, the reason I get prickly is that it's just what I said. You can do a lot of things and you're responsible for a lot of things as the coach. But when you've got players on the field who on paper have a certain skill set and the majority of them are not close to that, there's not an awful lot you can do about it.
Wasn't that an argument though when you were calling for Amorim's head? Those players should have been playing a lot better, yet it was all on him and not the players.
But he had 18 months of absolute drivel and rubbish.
Okay.
We've had 6 months from Arne Slot.
Absolutely.
So that's not enough.
Okay.
Yeah,
No,
drivel and rubbish. That's
fair enough. Jules, is there an argument to say they shouldn't have wasted their money on Florian Wirtz and kept Diaz?
Diaz wanted to leave, so they're two completely different things here. They really believed in Wirtz at the time. They still believe in him. I think we've seen him being much better the last few weeks than certainly he was the first 2 months of the season. He's an incredible talent. It feels more and more this is his team again, and I think he will come. He will be fantastic for them. There's no doubt. For Diaz, it's always the same debate. You want to keep a player who doesn't want to be there, first of all, and second of all, could you refuse that kind of money when you've spent a lot and you were about to spend even more and you needed to bring some money in? Darwin had gone, and I think they also wanted to recoup a bit of money, and Diaz was offering that. So the two combined made that departure inevitable, really.
Didn't hear anybody complaining when Diaz left for 70 million, by the way.
Hindsight is a marvellous thing, Steve.
2020, I believe.
Sorry, Ali, another question for Stevie.
No,
Why
don't
can't
worry.
Liverpool figure out how to play against teams who sit deep and counter? It's been like this all season. What's the adjustment they need to make to start breaking teams down and create better chances?
Again, we've got to look at the individuals. You know, we've been talking about the manager. Well, the manager in the last few games has gotten the forward players plenty of ball. And that's all they can do. You know, yes, you'd love them all to chip in with goals, but at the end of the day, you've got 3 players whose job is to go forward and be effective in the final third. And the players haven't done it. I mean, what's that saying, Dan, about leading a horse to water? You can't make it drink it.
You can't.
So that's
It's like
exactly
leading
what's
you to
going
the
on.
salad bar.
Yeah, exactly.
That doesn't work.
Ali, if Barcelona could make one big money signing in the summer, should they look to go all in and break the bank for a proper Lewandowski replacement like Alvarez? Or should they stick with Ferran Torres and make a couple of top-class signings to solidify the back line?
You solidify the defensive part of the game if you're Barcelona. Scoring goals is not an issue for Barcelona. It hasn't been an issue, and it will not be an issue. We're talking about this over air, how much fun it is actually to watch Barcelona play, because you know that they're going to score goals, but you also know that the other team has an opportunity as well. So the reason the other teams have an opportunity, you can point at the high line if you so desire, the fact that you're not putting enough pressure on the ball, but you also are having difficulties in defending 1v1 situations, which is what you're exposed to do, and you have to do really well when you play as high a line as they do. It really exposes your center backs and outside backs to be able to defend 1v1 situations. You need to solidify that. Goals is not a problem for Barcelona, and I don't think you throw all that money to whatever this number 9 may be at the expense of not solidifying what's going on behind it.
Yeah. Start at the back, Stevie.
Correct.
Does Franco Mastantuono provide more balance to the Real Madrid squad, Jules?
That's a good question. It's funny season, isn't it? Because he started well with Xabi Alonso, then had a bit of an injury, then disappeared completely. Nice coming back. I don't know if he makes much more of a difference than having I don't know, Brahim Diaz, for example, on that right-hand side, or even Rodrigo when fit. I think the issue, as we saw tonight in the first half, for example, where they still lack creativity, and if you only rely on Vinicius dribbling or Arda Güler's vision or passes now and again, it's still not enough, really. So I'm not sure if Mastantuono makes that much of a difference. I thought he was good tonight in the second half, but I still don't think he makes that much difference. There's other issues to sort out in terms of creativity all around the pitch.
I'm going to put a little twist on this because your answers won't be very good to the initial question I've decided.
All right, okay.
For the panel, today is National Compliment Day. What is the best compliment you've ever got? So obviously, no one's going to say anything interesting, so let's turn it around.
Well, I've got something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But when I went to Liverpool, after a couple of years when I'd solidified, Bob Paisley, now, when Bob Paisley speaks, people listen, said I had the perfect mentality for professional football.
Wow.
I always remembered that.
Always
It's very
Stevie
pleased
bragging
with that.
away.
One of the few things that I was like, I like that.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting this to go in this direction. Oh, that's very nice, Steve.
Never assume.
No, exactly. Yes. Ali, the best compliment you had then as we're continuing this?
Not too long ago, somebody pulled me aside and actually said that I was a lot like my father.
Oh, very nice, Ali. Oh, my
That
goodness, it's going to get us emotional.
Nice one.
There you are.
So
Follow that, Jules.
That filled my heart.
Can we get
I can't beat.
can we get a custard pie from the
can't beat
kitchen
that.
for this guy over here?
You lot are never good at this bit. Now you've been really good for some reason, Jules.
I don't know. And I promise you this is genuine, not because not because Stevie and Ali are on the panel. I promise you this is true. I got a message the other day that said that the 3 of us were the best pundits on ESPN FC.
Oh,
That's genuinely true. I swear to you. I swear to
God.
you.
Well,
And Ali, you don't text much.
I know. I sure don't.
That brings us It brings us to the end of today. I was going to ask what's the worst thing you've ever been called, because that's the way I take it. That's just sad, isn't it?
Well, there's plenty of that too.
National.
Well,
I know
more
it's
of
interesting, but they wanted to do that. Anyway, extra time is over. ESPN FC returns tomorrow, battling the snow. Stevie will be in the studio alongside Craig. Hope you're going to be all right.
Oh, that's unless we lose power. I mean,
Make sure you shut the garage door.
oh, they shut the garage door.
Yeah. Oh.
Keep the taps, get the water
Fill
running
the
on the
bath.
taps.
Fill the bath up. Why are we
Fill
doing
the
that?
bath
It
up,
said so.
yeah, we've got plenty of water from the last time.